Today, you are going to refamiliarize yourself with the metric and U.S. customary systems of measurement, something that you've learned in fourth grade. Here's a pen. What are some ways that you can measure the length of this pen? Today, you're going to measure the length of an object in the classroom or maybe in your home. Some of the objects will make sense to measure in inches, in feet, and others maybe make more sense to measure in yards. You're going to pick at least 2 objects and use a variety of units to record your work. Half of the class is going to be working in inches, feet, and yards, and the other half is going to be working in millimeters, centimeters, and meters. Let me just review something about our rulers really quick. Most rulers have inches, the U.S. customary system, on one side, and centimeters, the metric system, on the other side. So you're going to get assigned one side of the ruler. So maybe your job is going to be to work with inches, feet, and yards, or maybe centimeters, millimeters, and meters. If you're working with bigger objects, your teacher will give you access to a yardstick or a meter stick for this lesson. But if you're at home, just use your ruler unless you do have access to a meter stick or a yardstick. Here's how I'd like you to record your work in your math notebook. Let's say you're measuring the height of the door and you were assigned the inches, feet, and yards, the U.S. customary system. You would measure the height of the door in inches, and then in feet, and then in yards. I want to point something out. Do you see how I just have half a foot right here? Because it didn't add up to a full foot. You can decide if you want to do half a foot, or if you want to write 8 feet and 6 inches to be a little bit more precise, because 6 inches is half of a foot. You can do the same thing for yards. This is up to you. If you were assigned the metric system, you're going to do the same thing. The height of the door may be 2,600 millimeters, which would be 260 centimeters, which would just be 2.6 meters. Do the same thing for the pencil as well. We're going to compare all of our measurements and look for some patterns or anything that we notice about our measurements. After you measure your 2 items in the classroom or at home, I want you to look at this conversion tables sheet. And I just want you to get familiar with this sheet. So look at, for length, this is what you focus on today, the customary system, which is our inches, feet, and yards, and the metric system, which is our meters. And then go ahead and familiar yourself with the volume for customary, the volume for metric, and then move on to time. And time is just one system. And you can even, so this does not need to be memorized. So you do not need to memorize this, but if you're going to have something almost memorized, I highly recommend you focus on memorizing what the prefixes mean. So understanding that when you see kilo, it usually means 1,000 more, and hecto, 100. Deca, which you can remember like a decade is 10 years, is 10, and then so on. It will help you when you see a measurement to have some sense and some context about how much greater it is without actually having to memorize things. And I'm sure you see these prefixes in other words, and they mean similar things as well. So just read through this table. We're going to talk more about this with your teachers, but this is our focus for today's unit, or for the rest of this unit. And then finally, there's extra practice in your notebook or in your classwork If you want to work on this extra practice, you can use this table to help you convert meters to kilometers and centimeters to meters. This is all review from 4th grade, but we all could use a brush up on it. So this is great practice if you have the time to do so. Have fun measuring today.